Hi, I'm Justin Kirk, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make this barrel. So there's obviously lots of barrel tutorials out here, but I'm going to show you how to make the entire barrel in Blender, the normal map in Blender, and then also when you hit the barrel, you can see that it cracks, like it doesn't just break right away. Like the normal way that people do this is they divide it up into rigid bodies, but I'm going to show you a better way to do it that is better performance, and you can have multiple cracks appear before the actual barrel gets destroyed into pieces. So this might be a pretty long video. I'd like to encourage you to like and subscribe to the channel. The first 1,000 people that subscribe to the channel are going to get a free copy of the game, and they're also going to get a exclusive spell card. So in my game I have cards, and when you press R, it does the card, like whatever's on the card. So like for example, this one's death. So when I press R, gets like this cool effect and like you get size. So if you subscribe, you're going to get an exclusive card that's otherwise not going to be available. So definitely recommend that. If you're not into tutorials and you just want to follow the status of the game, you can definitely do that on my Instagram or my Twitter. I'm going to link them in the comments below. But anyway, let's get started. So let me close out this, and yeah, so we'll go into Blender, delete the starting objects, press 3 on your keyboard, press Shift A, add a cylinder, and then press G and Z to move it up on the Z axis. Then press Alt and Z to go into X-ray mode, and then Tab to go into edit mode. Select the top vertices, press G and Z to move them up to here. Okay, then press Control R and just kind of scroll up on your scroll wheel, make a bunch of cuts so it's like this. Press Enter so that they get confirmed. And then if you press Alt and you left click on one of these lines that's in the middle, you can turn on proportional editing at the top here. You can just press O to do this. And then if you press S on your keyboard, you can scroll backwards on your mouse wheel, and then you can move this outwards like this so it becomes more rounded. Then we need to make another loop cut here. So Control R to make a loop cut, and then another loop cut here, and just press Enter on both of those. And then we want to just press Alt Z to get rid of the X-ray mode or whatever. And then we need to make these come out a little bit. These are going to be like metal loops that are around the barrel. So click the face select here at the top. You could also press 3 on your keyboard to do that. If you press Alt and you click on one of these lines that's in between the two faces, it will select the loop around. And you can hold Shift and press one of these lines and it will select this one as well. Press Shift D to duplicate this and press Enter. And then you can press Alt and E, extrude face along normals. And then you can pull your mouse up a little bit to make the ring loop however big you want it. Then press L on your keyboard while hovering over this so you can select the entire thing, and do this with the bottom one as well. Then you can press P on your keyboard and then press selection, and this will separate this into a separate object. So then with this one selected, just change this to metal rings. And then if you click this little eye on the right, you can actually hide this. So the next thing we want to do is actually divide the top part. Best way to do this is actually to, so there's 2 ways you could do this. You could hit click vertex select one of these vertices, and then select the same one over here. And then if you press Shift and click on this one, and then Shift Control click on this one, you could go to Edge and then Bridge Edge Loops, and that will create a bunch of lines. This will probably mess up when we go to bevel it. If you press Control B, and then you press Control or Alt E to extrude a face along normals, you'll see that this gets fucked up. So you can't do it this way. So just press Control Z a bunch of times to undo that. And really the best way to do this is just with the knife tool. So if you press K here, you can click here, and then here, and then here. Oops. Oh shit, I'll just start over. Just press K for the knife tool. And then you just have to go around the edges like this. Just trust me, there's other ways of doing this with like the grid fill tool, but like I said, when you go to move it downwards, like extrude it downwards, it's not going to work. You're going to have problems. So this is the best way to do this that I found. So after you're done this, press A on your keyboard to select everything. And then what you need to do is right click, actually go into edge select mode, and then click M on your keyboard to merge the lines, and then just merge by distance. And then you could just turn the distance up to like 1 maybe, and press Enter. Maybe 2. Okay, so there's no duplicates. Okay, so I was just worried about the duplicates. Okay, so after you've done this, we actually want to do the UVs before so we're gonna inset all of these lines to make them like have like a crease, I guess. But we don't want to do that first. We want to do the UVs first. So if you look at the barrel at the side, you can press Alt and click on one of these lines. It should be the one that's lining up with this green line at the bottom. That way you can easily tell which one's which. And then we don't want this top one selected. So just press Control and highlight that to get rid of that. And then press Alt and click on this as well. Then Alt and click on this. Oh, Shift Alt, sorry. Press Shift Alt and click on this. And then we just want to select all 4 of these edges that are touching the lines at the bottom. And then when you're done, just Control and highlight that top one to get rid of that, because we don't want to select that. And then press Shift Alt and click on this edge so that it goes all the way. Oh shit, it didn't go all the way around. Not sure why that's not joined, but anyway, we'll do that. And then after you've selected everything like this, so like the circle at the top, the circle at the bottom, and then 4 of these sides, you just want to right click and mark scene. And then if you go into the UV editing, if you click A to select everything, you can right click or press U on your keyboard. Oh shit, what did I just do? Press U on your keyboard and click unwrap. If you've done this correctly, you should have 4 pretty even sized barrel pieces like this, and then the top and the bottom. Or this is the top and this is the bottom. So we want to do that before we make the creases, because the creases make this way harder to do, and it's going to be the same surface area either way. So this will make it easier to paint on or whatever. So then what we'll do is we'll go back here, and then you can press A again, go into edit mode. If you press Alt on one of these lines, you can press Shift G and select similar by direction. Now, this might select everything for you if, like, depending on how much you scaled it with the proportional editing. Let me just turn that off. Let me just try this again. Shift G, maybe length. Ooh, that worked. So this worked, but it also selected the bottom. So if you press Control, you can Control Alt. Oh shit, whoops. We just have to unselect the bottom. Oh my god, please. Control. Okay, well, just go through and I'll unselect these. The other alternative is you could press Alt on each individual line, but obviously that kind of sucks too. Oh, and then the top one got selected as well. Control Shift click? Okay, we can just, we'll just select all of these. If you unselect anything, you can press Shift and highlight where you've unselected to reselect it. So that will fix that. There's a lot of options with Shift G, so one of them might work for you, like by direction or distance or something like that. And just make sure that you get, oh shit, whoops, Shift and Alt to select this. Make sure you get all of the lines. If you do this wrong, you won't be able to fix it, so you're gonna have to restart if you get this wrong. So make sure you get all of the lines, and then just press Control B to bevel them. And then you just want to make like just a small gap like this, and then Alt E while it's still selected, and you can extrude the faces along the normals. And if you pull it out, it will make a little crevice in the wood, which makes it look more realistic. And then we want to do the same thing with the top faces, so just select all of the top faces and Control B to bevel them. And then again, Alt E, extrude face along normals, and just pull them down. Okay, so now we kind of have like a moderately realistic looking barrel. It's not too realistic, but it doesn't matter. Our game is like a cartoony game, and so it doesn't matter. So then the next thing that we want to do is just set a texture for the barrel. So go into Material Select, which is this little circle on the right, and then click New, and just change this to Wood Material. And then in the base color, you can just change this to like brownie color, maybe make it a little bit darker like this. So that's the kind of brown that I'm gonna go with. It doesn't matter, like you can pick whatever you want. And then press Z on your keyboard and just do Material Preview. So you should have like something that looks kind of like this, which is fine. Maybe just a little bit lighter than that. Just turn this just a little bit lighter is fine. So then we want to make a normal map for this. So for my one that's in my game, I made a material and then I colored it and I painted it. I don't think that's actually necessary. I think that it looks better if it's all the same color, because the normal map is going to make it look more realistic anyway. So if you go to the shading and you just press Shift A in the open space over here, just search and add an image. And then you need to make a new image and just call this Wood Normal Solid. And then if you drag your mouse down over these two, you can edit them both at the same time. Make the width and the height 2048, and then just press OK at the bottom. This can be black, okay? This isn't a color, this is gonna be the normal. So drag the color from this into a bump node and choose height from the dropdown, and then drag the normal into the normal. So then what we want to do is go into texture paint, and from here we want to change this to object mode, select the object, and then go back here and then go into, oh right, so press the Z on your keyboard and click material preview so you can actually see the thing, and then go into texture paint. Okay, go into edit mode, select all of the things, and then go into texture paint. Perfect. Okay, so basically what a normal map does is when we draw on this in white, it's gonna move, like it's gonna add a bump to, like it's a height, so it's adding height to it. So if you draw here, for example, you can see that there's like an added, the way the light reflects off of it, it makes it look like it's bumped out. So what we want to do is we want to turn the strength down quite a bit on this, maybe to 237, and just turn up the radius to like a lot, like 121, and then just go over this like slightly like this. Yeah, just like that. And you can kind of see how these circles make it look more like wood. And do it on the bottom too. Yeah, just do it on the bottom. Actually, yeah, I just want to Control Z that. Don't do it on the left side. It's better if you do it on the actual surface. But yeah, just make it like that, like that. So I don't know where that is, but it looks like it's probably at the top somewhere. We just want to make this as white as we can everywhere. So not as white as we can, but like just like, you can see how this is modifying the material to make it look more realistic. So this is our wooden barrel. So this is great. So now we want to save it. So this is the default. This is the way the barrel is going to look before we hit it, before we do anything to it. So when it's just sitting there and you haven't done anything to it in the game yet, this is the way that the barrel will look. You can spend more time on this if you want to. I did this with the drawing tablet on my other one, so obviously I'm not going to spend a lot of time doing this without a drawing tablet with my mouse, because it's going to take too long. The other thing that you could technically do is, if you want it to be hyper realistic, you could use the UV editor and put like an image of a wood panel on each of these like lines. And we're not going to do that because like this is a cartoon game, but this actually looks really good. So then the next thing we need to do is just save this normal map. So just save as, and we can call this wood normal solid. That's fine. Let me just put tutorial at the end because I got a bunch of garbage in my downloads folder and I need to be able to find this. So wood normal solid tutorial, that's fine. So then the next thing we need to do is make the cracked version of this. So if you hit the barrel once, this is what the barrel is going to look like. So we just want to turn the strength up to max and the radius down to 1, and then just change this from white to black. And we're going to paint black over top of it. So like you can just like go through it like this. Try to make everything like really like straight lines that are just kind of like jagged to make it look like it's cracked. You don't really have to get this perfect because people that are breaking the barrel are going to just hit it again instantly, so they're not going to be staring at the artwork. But yeah, maybe just have a bottom one, and these bottom ones should go like all the way across at least. So that's fine for that. Maybe this can be joined together, I don't know. And this can go to the walls. Now you don't want to do this too much because when you hit it a second time, there's going to be more cracks before it blows up. So we just want to save this again. So go save as. And then this is solid. So like the one that we already saved is solid. So we're going to call this cracked 1. And then now we want to put more lines. So like it's kind of lines all over the place. So obviously spend more time on this. I already made mine, so I'm not going to be doing too much time, but you know how to make cracks. I can't really explain that to you. Just make more cracks on it or whatever, right? And you can make them deeper if you want as well. You just have to, like you could have the deep ones be completely black, and then you could have like a lighter shade of gray for the ones that aren't as deep if you wanted to do that. And then you could apply like a different normal amount in Unity, and I'll show you how to do that. But yeah, this is looking pretty good for the hyper cracked one or whatever, crack 2. This is going to be the final crack stage of it. So the top of the barrel you should spend probably more time on the top of the barrel, because when you're looking down from a top-down view, like in my game, that's what you can kind of see, like, because it's a top-down game, so you should spend a lot more time on the top of the barrel if you're doing a top-down game. So this is great. So then just image save as again, and then we'll do cracked 2 on this. Make sure you don't overwrite your other cracked image, okay? And then we need to actually bake the normal map to an image. So this is good for using it inside of Blender, but inside of Unity, we need an actual normal map, which is like blue and kind of like purplish. So to do this, you'll go to the shading tab, and then what we need to do is create another image the same way. So Shift A and then go search and just type in image. And then we'll just hit new and make sure it's 2048 by 2048 still. And we'll call this tutorial normal 1 solid. Tutorial normal solid. Okay, fine. So then press OK. And then you need to select the barrel and select this image that we just made. And then on the right here, if you go to this picture of a TV, change the render engine to cycles, and then under bake, choose normal and click bake. Okay, so when it's done baking, you should see a new picture on the left, and this is what an actual normal map looks like. So you could try to use the other one, and it will slightly work in Unity. Like if you don't bake it, like just using white and black will actually work, but it will look kind of bad. This is the correct way of doing it. So then from here, you can take this normal map and you can save it. So we'll go image, save as, and this is the fully cracked one. So we need to bake, just make sure you do cracked 2. So tutorial normal cracked 2. And these are just images, so you don't have to worry about like saving this inside of Blender or anything like that. These are just images, so you just save the image or whatever, right? So then we go back here, and you could rename this if you want. But then what we need to do is take this wood normal solid and just load the actual solid one. So we're in the downloads folder, today 1213 wood normal solid tutorial. That's this one. Okay, so then just click the same thing. So select it, select this, and then you just gotta bake it again. Okay, so when it's done baking, it's the same deal. You just go back to UV editing and then go to image and then save as. And then just save this as tutorial normal solid. I don't know if this is going to overwrite something. I guess I don't really care. So yeah, so this will save this as that. And then you got to do the middle one. So we did the extremely cracked, and then we did the normal one, but we need to do the middle one. So then just open the cracked 1 tutorial. And then select the object, select the image, and then bake. Okay, so this is the last one that we had to bake, so just go ahead to image, save as, and then we'll call this tutorial normal cracked 1. Okay, so then we need to go to the layout, re-enable the metal rings, and then we could just put a material on them. They have to have a material or else you won't be able to change it inside of Unity. So just click this drop down, click new, and you can call this barrel metal material. And you could just change this to like a gray color and just turn the metallic up if you want to. It doesn't matter. We're going to replace the material inside of Unity anyway. So probably like a black would be better, like a just something darker, like wait. Oh, that's a subsurface color, that's why. Yeah, black is looking better anyway. And then like maybe on the top we should have drawn, also in my actual one I have like I've painted the actual barrel. So if you look on this one, I painted the top and I put like black around the edges, and then I did like a lighter color in the middle. So you could, if you have time, you could texture paint it. I'm not showing how to do texture painting in this because it's already going to be too long of a video, and I'm trying to keep it brief. So it's not so long. So then the next thing we need to do is actually export this. So this is the normal barrel. So this is the way that it's going to look. You don't have to worry about the texture because we're going to apply that when we move it. So just go ahead and export this FBX file. And you can export this FBX unit scale, Y forward, and Z up. And then just call this barrel solid tutorial. I'm calling mine tutorial because I already made this a bunch of times, but You can call yours whatever you want to, it doesn't matter. So then save this, and then we need to actually split the object into pieces so that when you actually destroy the barrel, it can fly apart. So when you hit it a couple times, it will crack like it is in this picture, but we want it to actually split as well so that it can blow up into pieces. So we need to set that up as well. So what we need to do is, if we press 3 on the keyboard, you can go into edit mode. Oh, that was weird. Select the vertices and then go to mesh and hit bisect. Make sure that you are in vertice mode and you press A to select everything before you do this. After you've done this, you can click select and then go to select loops, select the loop inner region. This will select all the pieces to the right of the selection. Then you can press P and press selection. This will separate the material into another object. And we just want to cut this object up into pieces so that it can blow apart. So to go back to object mode, select this, G and Y to move it over. And that way we know that part is cut already. And then we'll go back into, so select this object again, go back to edit mode, press A, click mesh, bisect. And then we'll just make another cut like this right down here. And then the same thing where we go to mesh, select loops, inner region, P selection, and you get where this is going. Okay, so when you're done putting it back together, just make sure that it kind of looks like it lines up. Like right here, I think this just needs to go a little bit more. Now, we're only going to be using this when we're blowing the barrel apart, so it doesn't have to be actually like perfect. And then the next thing we need to do is actually split the metal rings the same way. So turn on the metal rings and then turn off everything else. And then we need to select them, go into edit mode. You can just press Alt-Z so you can see through like wireframe X-ray. Oh my god, I don't know, I can't remember that ever. And just click P on this top one and click selection. That will split the rings into 2 rings. And then if you go to object mode, you can select the top one, and then it's just the same thing, right? So just press A, press mesh, bisect, like this, and then select loops, inner region, P selection, and then obviously do to the bottom one too. Okay, so then make everything visible again, and then we want to export this destroyed version as well. So just go to File, select everything, and just press File, Export, FBX, and then Barrel, Cracked, Tutorial. Make sure that everything here is the same. It might also be beneficial if you press Control A and apply all the transforms before you do that. I think it will work by the way it is now. If it doesn't, we'll have to come back and do that and export it again. So that's it for the barrel stuff. I know this has taken a really long time, but that's kind of like the process to make a barrel. You could also technically make a normal map where you just crack, like, see this normal map? If you were to put everything to blue and you just put these crevices like through everywhere on the entire thing, then you could technically apply the normal map to any object. And I think if you ever played Fortnite, like, and you break things with your pickaxe, that's what they do. And using a normal map instead of dividing the object with vertices is significantly better performance. So you could just make the whole square all divided and then more divided, and you could apply this to any object in the game. But anyway, we'll not worry about that right now. We're just gonna make another folder here. So create a folder. I'm gonna create a folder. You don't have to do this. I'll just call this barrel tutorial. And then after you do that, we need to drag in everything that we just did. So the ones that we just did are these ones and these ones. You don't need to drag in these wooden ones. It doesn't matter. So just drag these all into here. Great. And then I'm just going to minimize all this stuff that's in the room. And then what we'll do is we'll drag the solid one into the scene. Now my scale is really, really small. So you can see if you double click on it that my barrel is like really minuscule. It's not very big. So just click. I'm doing 15 on the scale for mine, but yours probably doesn't need to be that big. Also, it looks like we had it under the ground. So if you applied the transforms, oh no, it's under the ground here as well. It doesn't matter. So technically you could just move this upwards, like press G and Z and move it up. I'm not gonna bother with that right now, okay? So move that up before you export it. Make sure it's not under the ground in Blender, obviously. So now we need to unpack this. So just right click and click Prefab Unpack Completely. And then if we right click at the bottom here, we can create a material. And this is gonna be called Barrel Solid Material. And then from here, you just need to drag the solid material into the normal map. And then we need to drag, oh yeah, we didn't do a material pane, so we don't need to drag anything there. So after you've done this, in your normal maps, just highlight all of them, change the texture type to normal, and press apply. And then if you click on the barrel and you click on the cylinder, you could have renamed this if you wanted to, that's fine. Drag the barrel solid material onto this. And you can see that this went white. So you just need to pick a color that you like inside of Unity instead. So just make this like a dark brown is fine. Okay, so then what we need to do now is actually, let's just make this smaller. This is a little bit too big. Let's just make it 9. Cool. So then what you need to do from here is you need to make materials for the cracked versions. So just right click again and create another material. And we can call this Barrel Cracked 1 material. And just, you need to use the same exact color that you used on the other barrel. So in the barrel solid material, actually instead of doing this, you could just duplicate this by copy pasting it. So delete this one, press Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and just paste twice. And so for this one, we'll call this, oh my god, can I double click please? Barrel Cracked 1 material. And then you just need to drag the normal map for the cracked one into that. And then this one we'll call Barrel Cracked 2 material. And then we'll drag the cracked material 2 into the normal map. So the other thing is that, so if your normal map is not appearing a lot, so like, let me show you what it looks like. So if we take the cylinder and we put the cracked material onto this, you can see that these lines are like really faint and you can't really see them in the actual scene. You can make the normal map affect the material more by changing the normal map amount. So change it to 5, and it looks like, so the shading on the top of this needs to be less. So we need to put more white on it so that it's completely solid on the top at least, so that it doesn't look so crazy. So I'm not gonna actually fix this, but the way to fix this would be inside of the shading on the top of the normal map for the solid one, and all of them actually, you would just need to make this top part more, hang on, I'll show you it in the picture. So this one. So at on this one, instead of having it kind of like this much faded, this needs to be way more white. So make it like white everywhere, like a darker shade of white. That way it doesn't have this much craziness inside of Unity. Yeah, so I'm not actually gonna fix it, but if you wanted to, you could make the top more white and that will fix. So what you'll have to do is essentially, because you probably don't have a game like this, I did make a video on how to make the character attacking and that kind of stuff. I'm gonna show you my spell script, but you probably don't have anything like this, and if you do, that's great. Basically what you want to do is when your projectile hits the barrel, or if your sword or whatever you're doing in your game hits the barrel, first it changes the material from this solid material to the material 1, and then when you hit it again, it changes the material from that material to material 2. So I'll show you the code for this. Hopefully this doesn't get too confusing. So this code is attached to my projectile. Okay, so like when my character attacks, it shoots a projectile, and this code is attached to the projectile. So when on collision enter, if it collides with the barrel, it does this method. And I'll show you the method. So it's checking the hits of the barrel. There's also a class called hits, and all it is just the number of hits that the barrel has, and this is obviously attached to the barrel as well. So when it hits the barrel, it lowers the number of hits from 3 to 2. Then it changes the material to this cracked material. And I've imported the material using this top part right here. So you can just copy this if you want to. You could also serialize this or make it public and drag the material into it. That's fine as well. So when there's 3 hits, it makes it 2 hits. It changes it to cracked 1. When it's 2 hits, it makes it 1 hit and changes it to cracked 2. And then finally, if it drops loot and then it replaces the barrel with the destroyed copy of the barrel and it blows it up. So you'll have to make another, because we have this other cracked barrel as well. So if you got to drag this one in and copy the exact settings that you have on the other one. So 9 by 9 by 9 and move it up a little bit. I'll just move it over beside this one. And then we just want to apply, so right click this, prefab, unpack completely, and then apply the material to all of the cylinder portions. So barrel, solid material, just like that. And it doesn't have to have any of the normal stuff on it because it's going to break apart anyway. And then what you need to do is select all of these individual components, add a rigid body. So this is what will make all of the components have physics. And then you can add a mesh collider and make it convex. So that will make all of these parts collide. So if we start the game, this one should fall apart immediately. I'll show you. Okay, so it didn't fall apart because it just happened to be like falling together, but you can see how like these rings fell to the ground or whatever. And then we apply an explosive force to it to make it go flying, right? So let me get out of this for now. So what the script does is, hang on, I'll show you my destructible. So this is the first part of the script where we've attached this destructible method to the barrel. So the first barrel, like this one, for example, has a destructible script attached to it. And then I've dragged this prefab of the broken barrel into the destroyed version slot. So all you have to do is you'll take this one and make a prefab out of it. And then in the barrel, you can drag this prefab into that slot, like the broken one into the slot. And then from here, because this has destructible, we're calling the blow barrel up method from the destructible that's attached to the barrel. This is the destructible script. So it has this game object of the destroyed version, and then you could just copy this code. So it instantiates a copy of the destroyed version of the object at the same position as the barrel is. And then it applies a force for X, Y, and Z in a random direction and multiplies that force by 300. You can change this to a much lower number. If you use 300 and you haven't set your scale very large like mine, it will go absolutely crazy flying and you won't even see it probably. But you can just copy paste this code and it should send your object flying. I know that Bracky's made a video on how to destroy an object. This is very similar. He used this one at the top with explosion force. I don't really like that because it seems to prefer the Z-axis, so it goes upwards and downwards more than it goes outwards, and this is more random, so it goes in all directions like crazy. So that's pretty much it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I try to make this as short as possible, but it's actually kind of complicated to make a barrel. Like, it's not as easy as you think. It takes some time, and it took me quite a bit of time to get this the way that I liked it. Obviously the normal map, like I said, you got to fix this and just make it more white. I can show you the normal map of the one that I kept. So my actual normal map is this one. So this is the normal map that I used for my actual barrel that I like. So make it more like this instead of like, this is the one that we did in this demo. See how it's too dark? It just needs to be a little bit whiter, and that will fix the problems that it have with it being so crazy after you up the number. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely like and subscribe. Like I said, like the first 1,000 people to subscribe to my channel are going to get a free copy of the game and a free spell card that's going to be exclusive to those people. And yeah, and I'll see you guys in the next one.